Alright guys, so this is the stock height right here. We're about to take a quick measurement of the rear wheels just so you guys can see the difference. So let's see what this measures. Now we're just measuring from here to the where you see the tire is even. So now we'll back this thing up and put those drop shackles on. Alright guys, so a quick run through of the parts that we're going to need. First and foremost, you need your shackle kit, and this is going to be a basic installation for any truck really. So you have to have your right shackle kit. This is a 2010 GMC Sierra, so we opted for the option of dropping it 3 inches. So this kit actually comes with spacers for the U-bolts on the, so we can remove the 1-inch spacer that comes with factory. What else we need? Some sockets, right size. This takes 13/16, and for all the bolts, including the ones for the hitch that we also have to do to take off to remove it because it's in the way. Some jack stands, impact, jack, obviously, unless you have another idea on how to lift up a truck without a jack. And then pretty much just what I recommend is having some lithium grease. You know, as you're putting the stuff in, you don't want to when you have all that metal contact, you want it to kind of go in smoothly. So some lithium grease, which I already have, we just bought that. So first thing we're gonna do is lift up the truck, put the jack stands underneath the body, so we have free access to the differential to be able to move it up and down, since that's where we're going to be removing the rear shackles. Before we get started with all that, forgot to mention, we got to block the front tires, make sure it doesn't go forward or backwards. So I recommend blocking both sides. Alright, so let's get started with that.
And the differential?
No, it has to go in the body.
Yeah.
Alright guys, so we got the jack stands put in place. We didn't fully release the jack, so first thing I'm going to do is remove the hitch. Alright guys, so we just removed the hitch. Just 3 bolts here, 2 nuts, and 1 bolt right here. Bolt here, and then the same thing on this side. The 1 bolt and 2 nuts. So that's what removes the hitch. If you don't have a hitch on there, you just save yourself a little bit of time. You know, so you basically ignore the first part of that video. So now that we have these bolts exposed, this is what we're looking for. As you can see, there's your original shackle. So this bolt here and this bolt up here are the 2 that have to come off. So the first thing we're going to do is loosen these bolts up on the bottom on both sides, and with the jack then we'll have control over the whole leaf springs on both sides, so we'll be able to remove this bolt. Then we have to jack the leaf springs up in order to clear the frame. Let me get outside so I can show you guys a better picture of what I mean. Alright, there we go. This is a better understanding for you guys. So we're going to remove the bottom bolt first. You know, we have the jack on the leaf springs now, so we'll be able to lift this up. As you can see, the top bolt hits the leaf spring, the frame. So by us lifting this with the jack, we'll be able to lift it up and over the frame, which allows us to slide that bolt out. At this point, we put the new shackle back in and then slide this back down. So it's very simple. All right, so let's get to it. I'm gonna loosen those bottom bolts. Alright guys, so we loosened out the bottom, so this is loose already, and one way to know is if you could physically by hand move this bolt out, which I just did. So next step is pulling this bolt out, then jacking up the leaf spring up so that it goes up above the frame, and then we can remove this piece. There it goes. So now the shackle is loose, as you guys can see. I should be able to remove this up here, but I think it has a couple more threads to go, so I'm going to have to do it by hand. It's a tight squeeze, so you're going to have to take your patience, have some patience while doing this. We're good. So now that that's loose, now just have to have the jack pushed up. So can you push up on the jack real quick? All right, so yeah, up. So you guys can see the leaf spring going up higher and higher. So we just want it to go up high enough to where we can clear this bolt. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Almost there. Keep it going. A little more. And I think we might be good right there. Oh no, just, you know what? Just a hair more. Alright guys, so one issue we just realized, and I didn't have this before on my other trucks, this seam right here for the truck, it's hitting the top of the leaf spring before it allows this bolt to come loose. So you just have to take a crescent wrench and fold it real slightly right above the leaf spring. It says that?
Yeah.
Alright, I think that might have done it, so let's give it another try. A little bit more. I think we might have it right there. There, let's see. There we go. We finally got it. There you go. So now it's out. So this is the part where we put the new shackle in. Through here. I set it through. Yeah, there we go. There you go. Ahí está. Alright, so now we put the shackle in. Face it forward. I think we got it. Yep. Alright guys, it took a little bit longer than I expected, but not that hard. It's just maneuvering it around to where you can get to it, and you know, it's a tight squeeze. So that's it. Now we're gonna drop it down, put this other bolt back through here. Now we're just gonna put this bolt right through here, you know, on the when we find the hole, and then bolt it up. Okay, now we gotta wiggle this a little bit. Okay, keep going down. There it goes. Actually, right there, we're good. There it is, guys. This is the one side pretty much done. So you guys saw the bolt go right through. So now we just put the nuts on both sides, tighten it up, and we're technically done with the one side. If this was a 99 to 07 or the older models even, you would technically be done with the one side already. You know, we're gonna go ahead and go that extra step with the 1-inch spacer that these come factory with, but your shackle is installed on this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side, and then call it a day when it comes to the shackles. Alright guys, so this one is all done too. So now we're ready to put the hitch back on. So we'll do that now. Alright guys, the hitch is put back on. Technically a 2-inch drop is already achieved. It took us a little bit longer than expected. I was not taking in consideration the having to fold the well, first we didn't know exactly what it was that was holding up the leaf spring from, you know, clearing that bolt. Coming to find out, it was that little this little piece right here that you have to fold up, the little flange area. But aside from that, you know, removing the hitch. Also, if, like I said, if you guys don't have a hitch on there, you're gonna save that time. Spare tire, it's not really in the way, but it does help to remove it, because then you can get your hand around the frame a little bit easier. So that's just kind of like a quick tip for myself for next time, and for you guys for the first time if you guys have never done that before. We're gonna go ahead and keep going to remove the spacers that are right here. So the kit that we got, it also eliminates this spacer right here, and this gives us our 3-inch drop. So we're gonna go ahead and replace that. The way you do this is, you know, first you have your jack up on top of your differential, and then you loosen these bolts up almost all the way, and then you try to wiggle it out. If you can't get it at that point, just very carefully remove the U-bolts until they come loose, then put the U-bolts back on. Then you got to slap a spacer in between here. So let's get started with that. Alright guys, so now what we're going to do is remove these bolts right here. You don't want to loosen them all the way out to where they're loose, because you know you don't want that to drop. What I'm hoping is that we get enough clearance to remove it right now. See, like that. There
Sí,
you
pero...
go.
Oh, it's loose, okay.
Yeah. Alright guys, so now that this whole setup is loose, there's a few ways you could go about it. You know, basically you just want to make sure that the U-bolts are completely loose, almost all the way off. You have play in them, and you want to open this up just enough to where you can squeeze this out. There's a bunch of methods you could do. I mean, I'm going to try to pry bar to pry the rear differential from the leaf spring, or not the differential, but you know, the rear end from the leaf spring, and see if that gives me enough space to get the little stud out. There it is. There it is. So now we pushed it out. So you guys can see all it has is a hole on one side and a little pin thing on the other side. So now these match up. You know, don't put your finger in between there. It's not really safe, especially if you don't have a good control over the leaf spring. But now you're going to drop this leaf spring, you know, and then now we got to make sure we crank this jack, this differential, up to where it matches that hole. So just kind of keep an eye on it as we go. There it goes, there it goes. Okay, hold it right there. This is the part where you have to make sure that you get that leaf spring snapped into that hole that's right there. There it is. So now it's snapped in place. Now we're good to remove one or two of these at a time, and then we'll put the spacers on. So you got the one spacer and your nut, second spacer and your nut. Don't drop the nuts. Second spacer and your nut. I won't. I'll edit that out. All right, now we're good for the other two. All right. So once you have that, we can tighten them up a little bit. Also keep an eye on top and make sure you always have these, there's some little seating, like little seats where the U-bolts are supposed to sit on the top of the leaf spring. Make sure they're always right where they're supposed to be before you actually tighten all the way. Alright, we're good with that side. So now we're going to move on to the other side. So now we're gonna go up a little bit on the
jack.
You know what? No, you're gonna loosen it actually. All the way down. All the way down. Yeah. There you go. Right there's good. Now try to pry it. Careful with that brake line though. There you go.
We should push it this way better.
Alright guys, there we got the other one out. Alright, see how it's loose? You got 1 inch of space right in there. So now we're going to go up with the jack again to bring up the rear end. Okay, that's good right there. I'm going to find the go a little more tension. Oh, no, too much. There it is. Got it.
Got it?
Yep. Alright, so now it's time for the spacers. 1 and 1. Alright guys, and we're done. On these, always make sure you never, tighten all the way on just a single one. Always do them evenly and then crisscross them as you go. You don't want to put too much tension on just one side and then the other side, because that'll kind of throw the whole setup out of whack. So just make sure you always do a little bit at a time. Don't tighten up one at a time. So we're ready to drop the whole thing. We're ready to take off the jack stands, and we're ready to dry this out and check to see the difference between when it started. Alright guys, so it took me a little bit longer than I expected, honestly, but here it is. That's how it looks. That's with the leveling kit, the back. It ended up dropping at 3 inches from original. So we're gonna go ahead and measure this up and see the difference between earlier and now. Alright, so we're back at where we measured earlier. Alright, so let's see. A new measurement to my eye is 5 inches. So that's a big difference than earlier. So 5 inches is a new rear. Let's check the front. It was at 5 3/8 when we measured it before we started. See if that changed anything. No, it looks like it's still the same pretty much. 5 3/8. So I mean, those 3 inches weren't that much to angle the front. So 3-inch drop from 2010 Sierra. Let's get down here real quick and see what the, let's go on the other side. Let's see how much space we have between the bump stops. See, that's close. So the next step would be, if you wanted to, if he has an issue with hitting, you want to cut maybe 1 or 2 of those little round areas for the bump stop, just so that it's not constantly hitting on big bumps. So that's totally optional for anybody that, you won't know until you start having that issue, but that's the difference right there. Alright guys, well, hope this video helps you guys out. If any of you guys are trying to install either Belltech or Magoi's Shackle Kit, that's how it's done. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.